What up, everybody? I'm your host, JP, and this is my co host, Josh.
Hey, everybody.
And welcome back to another episode of the FilmBros podcast. Josh, today we have a colossal flop on our hands, okay? We have a movie to review that is something that we've been anticipating, something that we've been talking about. And when it hit, oh my God. I mean, for you, it was probably glorious. You were like, oh my God, there's fireworks. Like it crashed, and you're like, there's so much fireworks. It's a grand old day, right? And I was just I was a little confused. I was a little confused of what's going on, This movie we're gonna review, we're gonna talk about all kinds of aspects of it. Right now, it's not looking too good for it. It's not looking too good. It's not looking too good for a lot of people. And we're just gonna have to start like jumping into this review. We're gonna have to start jumping into other aspects that are basically coming into this review as well. So, Josh, go ahead and let them know what we're gonna be talking about today, so we could just start getting to the meat and potatoes of all this.
We're going to be talking about Supergirl 2026.
Hey, I was just touching base to see when you think you might be coming back. You know, I'm just worried that you're not going to find your stride here if you keep going off-world all the time, Kara. I'm worried you're not going to find your people.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, Clark. I have no people.
Supergirl, your most anticipated movie behind The Flash when it was coming out.
Hell no.
And so, Supergirl has been a crazy ride to think about, right? Because, what started as Gods and Monsters within the DCU quickly changed to possibly the Superman saga because, Supergirl was not a part of the slate. Not one bit, not an inch, not a little bit. She wasn't a part of the slate, right? So we talked about when the slate was being revealed from James Gunn on YouTube, and then when we did our own reviews and what we're gonna be seeing. The Authority was technically supposed to be the movie after Superman. That's why we got a certain Authority character within the movie. I don't remember the name because who gives a shit? And so she did the nanites thing, made her head come out her ass or coochie, whatever the fuck it came out of. It was crazy. We got her in that movie. It was supposed to be the Authority, but James Gunn got a script supposedly that landed on his desk from Anna Noriega, who he basically deemed as gold because he said, hey, you know what? We need to green light this shit tomorrow, ASAP. It needs to be done, okay? Booted the Authority out the fucking window. We asked him about that. He was like, well, I couldn't figure it out. But Supergirl came around and it was just making so much sense. Made more sense to make the Superman saga than do a bunch of ridiculous characters, didn't it? But that's okay because he couldn't even do it himself. He actually hired somebody else to do it, right? And this was something that we were kind of hoping for, right? Because Superman, when it released, it was more of a, oh, this is James Gunn's work. This is something that James Gunn did. And, if you're not a fan of James Gunn, then it wasn't going to be your cup of tea, unfortunately. So Supergirl came around and Greg Gillespie got the chair to basically direct this thing. Obviously, James Gunn is still overseeing as CEO. And so for me, of DC Studios, it's going to lead to the question because I see a lot of people bringing James Gunn into this. And there's a lot of James Gunn defenders that are like, well, he didn't direct the movie. This isn't his movie. Why are we talking about this movie like as if he and him as if he's the reason why this movie is not doing too good? And we'll get to the numbers in a second. But I kind of feel as, James Gunn being the head of DC Studios and him being the voice of everything, right? Going on threads and speaking all the time. And, we're going to talk about the little back and forth pointing in a way. But for me, I'm like, he's an active, like, if he's not the main shooter, he's the guy who said, point the gun and shoot. Like, he's the, you know what I'm saying? But that's just kind of the way I take it. What do you think about, like, James Gunn kind of being the main talking point when it comes down to this whole, like, Supergirl saga that's unfolding right now?
I mean, it's all kind of coming to an interesting place. I feel the where the DCU is getting hate, James Gunn revision is coming to light, and people are just making the realization that I feel like we made a long time ago, and so it just feels kind of
That it was a
vindicating.
mistake. That
Yeah,
he did not love these characters as he should, right?
right.
You would have really thought that when he basically said, "I couldn't crack the fucking Superman script till I seen a dog, my dog, his own dog," and he was like, "You know what? Maybe I can do this." How the hell? I don't know how two and two pieces together, but
I
you
I
know,
don't know that shit either, bro. I still question it. I don't go back and rewatch that movie, but yeah, no, I still don't understand it. I'm still very much like, how the fuck did he get here? But let's hope his downfall is swift.
I'm
And
hoping the goalpost isn't going to be moved, but it seems like that's what's basically happening. So I kind of wanted to run into this really quick and say Supergirl was the movie that needed to be done good. Superman could have possibly failed a little bit and still could have stumbled and still, kept going. If Supergirl did not meet the requirements that was necessary, whether it was a good tomato score and or good, basically good return in investment, basically, good box office, that James Gunn was possibly going to be able to stick around a little bit longer, finish up his universe at least to a certain point, and ride off into the sunset with the millions of dollars that he's putting in his pocket to direct a Superman movie and possibly Man of Tomorrow. You know what I mean? James Gunn has basically been running DC Studios, and like you said, we made a realization a long time ago. We said, hey, this is probably not the guy for the job. But people still championed him. We've seen a lot of stuff coming out, and he was, for a lot of people, he was the guy who was gonna bring back the DC universe. You know what I'm saying? Apparently, it was dead to the point we talked about it. It was basically dead. Nobody was showing up to theaters. It seems like it's happening all over again, though. Unfortunately, with basically Supergirl coming in with literally less than the projected numbers, where they were trying to lowball themselves and say that she might have came in at 39 million domestically. She only came in at about 37 million domestically, 62 million globally. That is less than Morbius when Morbius was released and also put back into theaters. Sony got yoinked. Warner Brothers is looking to lose 100 million to 120 million. Again, some people are trying to move the goalposts and say this isn't the movie that's going to define the DCU for the next few movies, and or if those movies are going to be made. I say that this is it. This is it. Like I said, Superman could have stumbled, but Supergirl, if it fails, it's a problem. Josh, what do you think about this whole goalpost movie that people are saying that Man of Tomorrow is now the movie that basically needs to either break even or save James Gunn's job and not Supergirl anymore?
the fucking switch up is crazy, bro. Because as soon as people saw that it did not take the Rotten Tomato scores dropping, but it's fuck Rotten Tomato the whole time. But that shook their foundation so fast. I've never seen a fan base, fucking quiver in their boots as hard as they did when those fucking things dropped. And yeah, we talked about it. We covered it a little bit, and now we can fully unload it since we've seen the movie. But the fact that everyone was just like, "Well, lanterns," everyone was like, "Well, lanterns comes out, and that'll be fucking, good shit and all that stuff." So I
You know,
mean, they're always gonna switch the goalposts. It's
we
always gonna happen. It's crazy.
and just to keep it a buck too, because we did talk about this in a previous episode, so you guys need to go check out all our episodes because we talk about this shit all the fucking time. It's crazy, but there was a producer that basically said that they met with Peter Safran and James Gunn. Basically met with David Ellison, who's gonna be running Paramount, and basically bought Warner Brothers, and that everything was apparently fine and dandy up until Man of Tomorrow. There was nothing past Man of Tomorrow. Man of Tomorrow is the final stop. It kind of shows me a little bit why he rushed to get the cameras rolling so quick. Like usually these kinds of movies take a second to build up, get the script right, make sure that action scenes are going, boom, boom, boom. and then you bring the people back. You know, you give them at least a year break or something like that. He brought them back ASAP. He said, "Hey, you guys we need to get the cameras rolling." So in a kind of a way, it seemed like James Gunn kind of knew this was gonna happen, that Warner Brothers wasn't gonna make the money back. I don't know. I don't know. We'll unpack as we go down the road, but for me, like his movements now in hindsight and the way things are rolling out, I'm like, did he know? Like, did he know? Supergirl box office 100. Some people are saying up to $120 million loss. It's unfortunate. James Gunn has not said anything, but Peter Safran did. Peter Safran decided to address the poor box office, saying, while Supergirl didn't meet our box office expectations, it's just one component of a broader long-term strategy at DC Studios that we remain confident in.
Interesting how the one that never says something comes out for positive reinforcement.
He had to come out to say something because James Gunn
He's
was
the money side. Of course he would. He's the money side. He's gonna fucking, he has to keep morale.
But I don't even think he said anything when Superman did decent.
Yeah, no. So that was all James Gunn's. He was doing fucking victory laps in his cubicle,
Yeah, he
apparently.
was over here like he was the one who was talking, but you know, you can't do it anymore because you're gonna get ridiculed on the internet.
Right. And Peter Safran doesn't have social media, I don't think. So
He's like, I just go home. He's like, I don't even go on Threads. That shit's some bullshit.
yeah. I don't know, dude. I mean, that just sounds like hope and damage control to me, but you know, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's bombing as we speak, but we do have some words from the writer, the director, and you know, possibly some insight on why we got certain, you know, things to happen within this movie. So it's really great that a lot of people are kind of telling on each other during this whole mess because they're just like, wow, we can't just sync ourselves. We need to sync everybody. I think that's hilarious because if this was like Kevin Feige and, you know, the Marvels and all that stuff, Nia DaCosta took the hit when it was bad. Chloe Zhao took the hit. You know what I mean? Like, there's a little bit of like words towards Kevin Feige, but he's so unreachable. You're just like, okay, well, we're going to go for the directors, right? DC doesn't have that. Everybody's getting shot up, and everybody's like, I'm done being shot. Shoot him. And it's like, why are we doing that here at DC Studios? You know what I'm saying? So we're going to talk about that after our review. But Josh, let's start jumping into it. Like I said, DC Studios is off to a rocky start because Supergirl has even gotten a green splat on her Rotten Tomatoes score. Tomato meter is at a 54%, popcorn meter at a 76%. A lot better than the critics, I will say. But I did call this. I knew it was going to be in the 50s, and it was going to be a green splat. It had to be under 59, 100%. I know you were saying 60s and at least a tomato, a healthy tomato, no certified fresh, nothing like that. But 54%. Josh, what do we think?
That shit was crazy, dude. Like I said, as soon as these things dropped, I texted you immediately, and I was like, "You were so spot on," and by like 1%, because 1% would have gave it that tomato, and so I was so in shock. I was like, crazy that we called it, even crazier that you got it by 1%. Insane.
I had to take my shot, boy, and that's basically what happened. I mean, I agree with this. I kind of felt like this was going to happen. And even after watching the movie, I can see why the critics are split. I don't know why the popcorn meter's at a 76%.
Yeah, I don't get that either.
I don't get that.
I don't know. I don't know where that could be. I honestly don't understand it. And unless the target audience of this movie is actively like making fucking tomato to run tomato accounts, I don't see this happening. I don't understand.
Mm-hmm. Right. Oh, I mean, yeah. So bad, not too great scores, and we already know when we personally we don't really watch this, Rotten Tomato scores. We like to talk about it, but everybody knows if the fucking tomato scores are bad, a lot of the general audiences were not gonna go watch this movie. And let me just tell you, I went to go watch this movie. My theater was not packed. I had about 4 people in there.
I watched it Thursday night preview.
Mm-hmm.
My theater was kind of full.
It was a little full.
Yeah.
But you go to the main.
Uh,
You go to the main one.
yeah. I mean, we have like 4 different ones. So
Yeah, but 2 of them are the main ones. You have the one you usually go to, and then the Maya.
right.
So, I mean, it's one of those 2, and I mean, usually it will be packed on those 2. You would have had to go to like Valley Plaza or something to really test the waters out, because that's where that's where you would have really saw whether or not people are going out to show it. But it's still good. I do think that obviously fan showings, if you did go that night, it was going to be a little bit more packed, because everybody who's going to watch it first basically dipped a toe in, was going to do it, and then tell everybody don't fucking do it. Don't fucking do it. Don't fucking do it. And I feel like that's what you kind of did to me, Jack. I ain't gonna cap. I feel like you kind of came at me with with fire in a movie theater, and there was no fire. You know what I'm saying? So I mean,
Dude, there is a fire. I'm sorry. This movie is not gonna. No, you're not gonna fucking. It wasn't that bad me this time, because it was bad, and I am gonna stay firm on that shit. This is crazy.
that's why we're here, my boy. We're gonna talk about it, and we're gonna break it down, and we're gonna see where we stand with everything. And maybe you're gonna open my eyes, maybe I'm gonna open your eyes. We'll have to wait and see. But Craig Gillespie was the director of this film, and I gotta make this notable because we're gonna be talking about her in a little bit. But Anna Noriega was the main writer for the script. She was the one who turned in this script, and James Gunn looked at it and said, "It's so amazing. Oh my God, we're gonna make it right now. And then on top of that, I need you to do Wonder Woman and Teen Titans."
Yeah.
And then she was just like, "Whoa, this script got that?" Yeah, hell yeah. Give me more. Give me more. So yeah, we'll talk about her. There was a couple other writers on there too. Apparently James Gunn did a little bit of writing for David Cornsweet as well. Basically did those scenes within the movie as well. So I mean, he's uncredited, but I guess he had a
Of course he
helping
is.
hand. At least
Yeah,
he had
of
a
course he
helping
is.
hand. Yeah, Josh. Actors, or I mean, where do I want to go first? Let me see, because I want to make a good, clean getaway here, Josh. I want to make a good, clean getaway. All right, spoilers up ahead. There is spoilers before we talk about the characters and all that all those things. Josh, I need you to run down this movie just a little bit. Spoilers. Let them know what basically happens in this film.
All right. We're introduced to Kara. Okay, we the movie starts off. She's at a bar. She's drinking. Great role model for people. I would say. I guess. We're introduced to her. Crypto. Crypto gets shot by Krem of the Orange Field, some shit like that. I can't really remember the bad guy's name. Krem. He gets shot by Krem.
Creme of the Yellow
Supergirl.
Hills.
Yeah, Kara meets with Ruthie, who was also done dirty by Krem. She had her family killed. They reluctantly team up with each other, go through the movie, try to find Krem at multiple points. At some point, it gets bigger than them, and it involves a subplot with them having to save girls from trafficking. Lobo's involved. We get some flashbacks to Kara's homeworld, Krypton, and then a little bit more of the safety plan. I can't even remember what it's called. It was I can't remember what it was called. And then the movie continues. They stop the bad guy, and then the movie wraps up with nice little corn sweat ending.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean that's that's about where we're at. Yeah.
Ain't too bad. So yeah, Supergirl. Interestingly enough, it's crazy because what's it gonna say? Got a brain fart. I was gonna say something. Wow, that was crazy. It said yoink. Hold on. Give me a second. Let me compose myself. Sorry, Josh. What the fuck happened? I literally just had a brain fart. What the fuck? This movie got me flustered. Hold on. Give me a second. Oh, okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, Josh. So yes, and I feel as if we're gonna give, or at least me, I'm gonna have a good, decent perspective on this film because I haven't read the comic. I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, this is nothing like the comic," so I fucking hate this thing. But I could tell you right now, I ain't seen the comic, so I can personally run into this movie without that on my back. You know what I mean? But I don't know about you. I don't know if you're on the other side. Have you read the comic before? Did you learn anything about it? I did learn about it after the fact. I wanted to know a little bit about it, but I got basically my opinion and everything without the comic notes.
I didn't have the. I had the footnotes of the comic. I mean, I knew the art. I knew the kind of the same plot, basically. I mean, I know of the characters, and I know how it ends, but I haven't read it through anything like that. I mean, I'm not saying I'm going like one for one, like this is some fucking Harry Potter, you know, Chamber of Secrets comparison to the book, but there is some stuff that they change, and you can only like scratch your head at such a thing. You know what I mean? Because it was like, why, what the fuck would they do that?
Okay.
So some of the stuff they changed for the movie, and you can kind of get behind it, but other stuff you look at it and you're like, that's not the comic you're adapting. Why would you change that? Why would you force people to read that and then change it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I did hear when I was doing a little bit of research for like, the comic book and everything like that, I heard somebody say, you know, comic books should be kind of like the extended cut of what the movie is. And I'm like, well, that's not completely fair, is that? Because, sometimes we take stuff from comic books. Like I said, I mean, we use this as an example because it's going to be happening in Brand New Day, but like Sony is not going to be doing Gray Hulk with the hat and the costume and everything like that. They're not going to do that. They're going to use that as a leeway to push it somewhere else. So, are we okay with the change up if the movie is good? If the change up is good, you know what I mean? If it's worth it, you know what I mean? That's the way that I see it. If it sucks and you're like, okay, well the original way would have been better, okay, then that's something different. But for me, I didn't have an original way. The what they gave me is what they gave me, and I mean, I want to talk about the comic a little bit because I did, like I said, I did research, and I want to talk about the changes. And obviously, the comic is superior. We can't even cap. The comic is clearly going to be superior than what this is. Obviously, it took more time to write and to bake and get everything correct than what Supergirl the movie did, right? So it is what it is. But we'll get to all that in a second. Let's start with these characters, Josh. We need to start diving into this review. It's time to start cutting in and hopefully seeing what the hell happened, what went wrong, and at least where me and you stand, because I really want to know, after giving you a couple days, how you feel about this. So Millie Alcock as Supergirl, David Cornsweet returns as Superman, Eve Ridley as Ruth, Matthias Schwarzenegger as Krim of the Yellow Hills, the fucking criminal that he is. We haven't heard anything from him. We haven't heard anything from his little case and everything, from his little DUIs and everything. But then again, he wasn't at the premieres or anything like that either. So it is what it is. And yeah, I want to say, I mean, you have David Krumholtz as Zor-El, and you have other people that are side characters, but for the most part, it is Millie Alcock, it is Ruthie, David Cornsweet more than anybody else for sure. Yeah, I would even say a little bit more than Krem. I don't know. Josh, what do we think about these characters? Obviously, Millie Alcock is up to bat first. How'd you feel about her run as Supergirl? And I mean, do you have any comparisons to the CW one? Because I know you used to watch that one.
I mean, I'm with the majority on this one. I think Millie Alcock does great. I think everything kind of falls apart once you start digging into like the story and stuff, and I know we'll get there. So I think she's good. I think she's pretty solid. I don't fault her for anything that goes wrong in in this movie. You know what I mean? Corn Sweat. I don't have a problem with Corn Sweat like that. I think I'm having another situation where it's like, Tom Holland and uh John Watts. I tell all the time that I don't have a problem with Tom Holland himself as Spider-Man. I have a problem with the direction they're giving him. So I think that I'm having another situation like that where I like him and everything around him. Everything around him just kind of sucks right now. Um, that's kind of how I felt watching him, but I don't have a problem with him like that.
David Cornswell,
Krem,
right?
yeah, Corn Sweat.
Mm.
Krem, uh, I mean, I think he was well acted. I don't like think there was much of a problem. I did find him kind of menacing. He just looked goofy,
Right.
and then he suffered, and then again he just suffers from the story. Ruthie, God, I'm sorry. She's got to be like the youngest of the cast, and I know I don't want to be too rude to a child actor, but she was annoying the fuck out of me this whole movie.
Me too.
Her and Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa as Lobo, trash. It has to be like, oh, it's his dream role. It's his dream role. It's like it's what I've read since I was a kid. Give him
Crazy.
stop, please, man. I
I
need
was
them
at
to
least
stop
hearing
with
people
him.
say nice things about Lobo. Like it was just, it was expected. It was, it is him. I was hearing those things, but for you to completely say that it was trash, that's next level. That's next level, 100%. Crazy.
Dude, I'm sorry. He was just there for action, and I was just not. I mean, even the action scenes themselves, like I have a problem with just about everything, but this he was every time he was on screen, I was kind of just like, all right, man, do your thing, Jason Momoa. Still the scene for whatever time you're here, and then don't bother fucking showing up again, which is fine.
That's, and I noticed that too. And I was like, they really are just popping him in there just so he could basically come in and do a little bit of rescuing, do a little bit of the damage for, Supergirl. But at the end of it all, they still kind of fumble it with like their direction and the way that they kind of wanted to go. And then like, first of all, okay, Jason Momoa's Lobo. First of all, for me, I don't know if I know some people are like, oh yeah, he's him. But to be honest, I wasn't really feeling Lobo out of him for some reason. I feel like he was just doing extra when he didn't need to. I'm kind of torn with his performance. I really don't think, like, I don't like him playing himself, and I feel like that's what he did in Fast and the Furious, and I feel like that's what he was trying to do in this one as well, but also give himself like a little bit more of a badass edge than his normal goofy self. And it was just more, it just felt, what is it? It's that feeling where it's like, it's just Jason Momoa. It's just Jason Momoa.
It's just Jason Momoa in fucking Kiss makeup, dude. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just wasn't feeling him. I wasn't feeling it.
If you like Jason Momoa, you like the portrayal. But me personally, I only like them as Aquaman. I don't see him in anything else. I hated him in Fast X. I know Josh was like, "Oh, I really like him because he was great and all this stuff." And I was like, I mean, he played crazy, but I just felt like he was just doing way too much. And I thought it was ridiculous. So, I don't know.
I mean, for points, I like his motorcycle. I think they got his motorcycle pretty on point.
Oh yeah, his motorcycle and his hook, but his hook to me
also kind of small.
I mean, sure. I mean, obviously they got to make it more practical, but it just seemed more like a prop than anything Lobo would use practically, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like it's obviously comic accurate. It obviously looks like the cartoon, but if we're gonna put it in live action, you got to make it make sense. And I just felt like that hook didn't really make a lot of sense for some reason. That's just me, and I know Lobo. I'm just more of maybe I'm just not a big fan of Lobo. I've never really been like I've never been like, oh yeah, give me some more Lobo.
I think they're trying to like mainstream him and make him like Deadpool. where like you got really mainstream out of kind of nowhere
Mhm.
after a little bit. So I think they want to try and do that. But is Jason Momoa the guy for this? I don't know.
Well, I mean,
That's
according
kind
to
of where I'm
everybody
at.
else, he is. I don't know. I
Well,
did
I'm
like
here to say they're wrong.
I did like Krim. I liked his portrayal, even though I was like, man, he is a criminal in like real in the real world and in this movie too. I did
I
like
just
that.
think he looked weird.
Yeah, I feel like he looked really weird. I was like, why did they do this to him? Millie Alcock, uh, I don't hate her, but I think she was let down. I think she was failed for sure by the script, or you know, where like you had behind the scenes, fights with David Cornsway and James Gunn about like where the direction should go, and like there was real passion behind it and all that stuff. I feel like Millie Alcock just kind of came in with the mind that she's gonna get a check and eventually be in more DC universe and have work and stuff like that, more than what she was actually trying to put into this character. Did I think she did fine? Yeah, but it didn't feel like David Cornswood putting on the suit. You know what I mean? Even though I personally don't really like his, I personally didn't like the choice. He's really grown on me a little bit, and I'm just like, okay, that kind of, he's a really happy-go-lucky Superman. If they just took the fucking underwear off, it'd probably be decent. But like how you said, it's just the bad people around him. But I do feel like he would, like he's really a good pick for Superman. So I mean, I really liked him. Eve, I mean, I'm not afraid to say it. I mean, they fucking gave that little girl that was in the Firestarter a fucking Razzie award. So I mean, I think Eve should probably be right next to her and just be like, "Hey, just give me my next Razzie, please." Like at this point, because there's no reason for her to have had this much. Well, I don't think she had a lot of lines, to be honest, because she didn't really have an arc. She had a little bit of lines, and she was really played dumb. Like honestly, like there's so many times where she just stood there. She would just stand there. You'd be like, "Why the fuck are you just standing there?" And she's just staring. And you're like, "Why?" I don't know. I didn't like her either. I didn't really enjoy her.
It was she was very much like I told you, she was very much like the damsel in distress half the time, talking about, oh, I almost had him or whatever, and I'm like, can we be real? This isn't some warrior person like in the comic. This is just a girl, and she wouldn't have had it. I would have probably preferred had she bit the dust in her mission, and then Supergirl, takes her anger out on her or Krem.
We're gonna talk about like plot and plot holes in a little bit, but yeah, no, there was better ways to kind of go about certain things when it came to that. But for me, I just think actor wise, I mean, they came in, did what they had to do. I really like Corn Sweat's performance. I feel like he shined the most, and he had
And he wasn't even fucking. He didn't even do much.
yeah, he wasn't in the movie that much, but I feel like he kind of stole the show when he would kind of show up. I really like the father's acting. Well, maybe that whole sequence, that whole Kryptonian sequence when like everything's going away, and then they kind of show like how she was sent and everything. I really feel like all that was well acted, and it's just funny to me that Millie Alcock barely spoke in those scenes because she was obviously in distress and whatnot. But it is what it is. Yeah, characters. Everybody else was a Guardians of the Galaxy background character. Fucking, we had the little
Right.
blue aliens, in the bus. We had fucking squids and shit. I don't even know why in the how often was she using the headphones in this fucking movie? Did she even use the headphones often? Why did we get a whole poster with her like with headphones and a trench coat and everything? She was in the trench coat.
She only used them like twice in the bedroom with where Crypto is like swimming around her or flying around her, and then
That's like in a flashback scene. It wasn't even like she wore it in the present day.
yeah, yeah, and then in the beginning when she was drunk at the bar. That's it. That's the only two times.
Yeah.
Other than that, she wasn't using them like that.
It's interesting
She
that they
rejects Earth so much. She has headphones.
Yeah, make that
Crazy.
make sense. So obviously the DCU, because I don't want to keep talking about the characters. I feel like everybody just didn't really do too much. But world building wise, obviously the DCU is the second movie there, but they did say you don't have to watch any other movie to watch this movie, and then whatever happens here, you don't need to watch it to know what happens in Man of Tomorrow. How did we feel about the world building?
I mean, doesn't do any favors for what Man of Tomorrow is supposed to bring, which I mean, you would think they would put something there, hint something. I don't know. But other than that, this is a pretty self-contained story. I mean, like I said, you get Lobo, fucking, you get Krypton, which everyone knows blew up, and yeah, I mean that's got to be it. I don't think there's any other like outer world stuff affecting the grander universe here.
Yeah, no, I mean, Corn Sweat being in there, does that kind of help, kind of pepper in the whole continuity thing?
I mean, yeah, other than oh, that's my cousin, but like I said, they don't do nothing with that. Not like they hint at what I'm assuming was his movie, which was like, oh, I could have used your help with some guy or whatever. But other than that, like they don't really talk about what goes next. So
Hmm. Well, I mean, it wouldn't have been, she wouldn't have been able to do that, right? Wouldn't, because he wouldn't have been able to have crypto. Crypto would have been on a different planet. This
oh yeah,
movie,
that's right.
this movie would have had to happen,
Way after that.
yeah, after the whole fighting thing with Superman 2025. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah. Because when she gets home, they end up at his place, not at fucking the fortress.
Was it Superman's place or was it her apartment? I feel like that was her
It was
place.
his apartment. No, it was his apartment. He actively that it looked like the same place from from his movie,
That's what
basically.
I'm saying. It looked the same, but I don't think it was. I feel like that was supposed to be like her place. I think that was her spot.
Hmm. Weird. I don't know then. I
Mm,
don't know. I don't know.
I don't
But
know.
she, I
Maybe
mean,
I
they
could be
basically
tripping.
said by the end, that like she's gonna be around and helping out and all that stuff and being a team player.
Yeah.
How's that gonna work out since the ending of that since before that the ending kind of solidifies her as something else? I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully that comes out to be something interesting. I don't know.
I always want to know what the actors think because they always go to the premieres and they watch the premieres. So I wonder if they're always like, oh no. You know what I'm saying? Like I wonder if that's like a thing. But yeah. I don't know. World building was, I mean, it is pretty self-contained, but I do believe obviously if you want to know what Supergirl or how the fuck she ends up in Man of Tomorrow when she wasn't in Superman 2025, you're going to have to see this because they did put in Corn Sweat, so it's kind of like peppering in that continuity to that point where it's like, yeah, you kind of do need to watch this movie. Do you need to watch everything? Like, do you need to worry about the main movie? No, but you need to at least watch these little clips. So there's so little, you basically got to watch the whole movie. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Yeah, basically.
yeah, I mean, you're telling us one thing, but that's not true. That's not true. It's not true. But the plot. Let's go to the plot because yeah, no, world building was basically non-existent. And I mean, they kept saying like we kept going to different planets. Hold on, before we go to the plot, but they kept saying we kept going to different planets. I swear to you, it looked like a different part of Earth every time,
I
except for
mean,
Bespin. They just went to Star Wars real quick. They went to the Star Wars universe and they flew into Cloud City and left.
that shit was weird. Yeah, man. I don't know. I think plot gets very. It's not that like okay, it's messy and it's just no one's fault other than Ava Nagaria
Mm.
because, like I said, we get Krem. We don't really find out much outside of he traffics women. Um, Why does he show up for Ruthie's parents' swords? Who knows? They get they get slimed out in the most ridiculous way. He leaves her for some reason, knowing that she's there. Fucking, she goes on a quest to basically, find him, kill him, whatever. Stumbles on a drunk Supergirl who only cares once Crypto gets injured.
All right.
And then they go on their adventure, and then the ending happens, and you're kind of like, huh, whatever, man. You know what I mean? Sure, I guess by this point, who cares? But there's no real if Crypto was fucking trained and knew how to fucking listen and stop being such a reckless dog like James Gunn's dog, apparently, we'd probably be somewhere else.
Well, I mean, okay, well, that means that we got to dive back to like the whole character thing and everything because that's Crypto's nature, and he was just going to go save that one. But I mean, obviously, one thing that we do have to mention about characters too is that Supergirl kind of was made to show that she doesn't really give a shit in the beginning. That she doesn't give a shit about anything, um, besides Crypto, basically. And so I honestly think that when we talk about the whole ending, once we get to the plot and everything like that, I feel like I'm gonna have a different answer for you than what you're gonna be giving out. But I feel like character wise, I feel like they were kind of laying out certain things with Millie Alcock. But Ruthie's weird like jump arounds, yeah, I feel like that was obviously weird. Like she was just I got shit, I don't even know where to start because I'm telling you, like this movie got me like I like some stuff, but then they take stuff away, if that makes sense. And the best way that I could put it is like, okay, Krem in the beginning, he's there. The boy gets dealt with because he comes out and spooks the girl because he's like, oh, apparently it's a game or whatever, right? And so Krem does him in, right? Why did he let her live?
That's what I'm trying to find out. That's what I said. That's why I don't understand that. I don't understand. If she gets done in then and there, there's nothing for her to
Yeah, like you were trying
go
to
find
make
and
like
kill.
trying to stamp him as this like badass, which you did. I was like, oh, that's pretty brutal. I mean, if you want to talk about like the comparisons from like the DCU and the DC, like DCEU and the DCU, and I was like, man, like people say that Snyder's movies were pretty dark. I just seen a boy get dropped, and like the first minute or two into Supergirl, like I neck snapping aside, they waited at least to the very end of the first movie to do something like that. No, they fucking murdered a child in front of me, and I was like, oh shit. Like for me, the DCU stuff is kind of different because I'm like, this is the kind of stuff that we're getting from the DCU, and we're getting orgies and shit like that too, apparently. And like the DCU, they never touched nothing like that. Snyderverse has never touched anything remotely that close to it, so I was just like kind of weirded out by that. I feel like I'm just listing off things that I didn't like, but like I said, there's certain things that they do, but then they do other things that take those things away, and so that's why I feel like a lot of the things that I'm going to be talking about is put like they basically give you something and they take something away, you know?
I don't know, dude. I just think there was a better way to intertwine everybody's piece. I mean, even in Lobo, even if Lobo was like fucking a hired gun, you know what I mean, or something, and like was probably fucking double crossed at some point, probably would have made a better thing for him outside of like, oh, I'm just here to get a guy and then fuck off, you know what I mean? And then, yeah, no, I don't understand it. I don't understand that. He just shows up to fight. Supergirl, like I said, only cares about crypto, learns to care about Ruthie. Ruthie's still very much useless by the end of this movie. And then Supergirl's whole motivation and for telling Ruthie certain things goes immediately down the shitter when she does what she does. So there's really nothing redeeming about any of these characters. If anything, Cram walks out I mean, he doesn't walk out unscathed, but his character and what he does and like what I guess his torment kind of leaves a mark because like you said that he shows up, fucks some shit up, and then moves on.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, other than that, you don't get much backstory for him. Like what his deal is, nothing. Not even an exposition dump. That shit was crazy.
That's true. Like, how the fuck did he get all those beads on him and all that stuff? Or like, how did nothing?
Why do they call him of the Yellow Hills? Like, what are you talking about? I mean,
They
I don't
just
know, dude.
expect you to know because they expect you to know the comic book. But I'm like,
You change stuff from the comic, so it doesn't
right.
even matter.
Um,
That's the thing. If it was a 1-for-1, I can get behind that. But it's not a 1-for-1. They took some stuff. They obviously took the title, but like they took one like some stuff, changed up other stuff, and then was like, okay, now read the book, be prepared, because you might see some stuff, but then we're gonna change some of that stuff too. So it makes no sense. None of this corresponds in a way that they should. And I know you said earlier like a comic book isn't going to translate well into a movie, and we've had that argument before, and I agree to 100%. It's not. You have to have certain elements come into play, but at the same time, if you're going to take a whole comic book like that and try and translate it, you should keep more stuff more so than changing shit up.
yeah, yeah. Well, like I said, I feel like we'll talk about that towards the end when it comes to like the whole comic comparison. But the plot here, at least for what we got, is really weak. This whole she needs to get crypto up, get crypto's medicine or whatever, blah 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 blah. They literally poison her down the road and make it a point to be like, oh, she's Kryptonian, she can't die as long as she's near the yellow sun, and it eventually goes away when she like barfs it out and whatnot. Why didn't she just fly him to the yellow sun?
Well, their planet was I can understand that a little bit. Their planet was still on in the red, and who could say they could fucking travel that far? I mean, they still had to travel a long ways distance until she found a yellow sun herself. And outside of that, they were going to do a cheap cop out and be like, "Oh,
How long was she
she's
on the
gonna die
bus?
out there."
How long was she on the bus?
I don't know.
I swear she was on the
Wasn't
bus
it?
for like a couple of, like maybe a couple hours.
Yeah,
She didn't even use a full whole day.
yeah, couple hours.
She could have took crypto on the bus with her and been like, let's get you to Yellow Sun, my boy, and we're gonna yak this out real quick. Like, there's no point in even chasing this man.
I don't know, dog. I guess Kryptonian dogs are different,
It
man.
got
I
me.
don't know.
It
If they
got
don't
it.
have an answer for it, what makes you think I do?
Well, I mean, we're talking about plots, right? We're gonna talk about the plot, so I'm gonna talk about the plot holes that I found, in my opinion, because I mean, you already kind of ran down what basically happens in the movie. I'm just talking about the shit that I was like, okay, the beginning of the movie started off like this, the end of the movie tells us a different story, and it's kind of like it forgot what the beginning basically did. You know what I'm saying? Like Ruthie, like how you said, Ruthie going from seeing her family being murdered right face to face with Krem to next thing you know, she's at a bar saying, I'm gonna get revenge. It's like, so did Krem just let her go? I thought he was trafficking these young women, supposedly. So like, why wouldn't he have taken her with him? He just
Right.
let her walk away?
Yeah, he just let her walk. I would have preferred her story and been like,
He was
"Oh,
like,
she was."
he goes, oh, hey, Ruthie, scene's over. You can go find Supergirl now. Like, you can head on out. Like, we're gonna let you go. Go ahead.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
We were LARPing the whole
Supergirl.
time.
Supergirl, even depowered, can still kick ass.
That was another thing too, because in the beginning it was like, you know what, I didn't even think it was a plot hole, but I kind of did, because I was like, okay, if the red sun's supposed to weaken her, so why is she getting her ass beat? Like, shouldn't she like lose technically? Like, how does she know how to fight? Like, did she train or something? It's kind of like what I would think, you know, anybody would be like. It would just be, kind of instinctual. You kind of do whatever you can do, but I mean, if you don't really, if your biggest strength is superhuman power, and that's what you rely on, because obviously that's what she kind of showed later on down the road with the whole bus scene too. It's like, how was she able to survive this encounter? I don't know.
Right. I mean,
I feel like a lot of
Cla-
things could have ended in the beginning if the movie would have rode the way that it was supposed to. But somebody said, "Hey, man, the movie's gonna end if you just do that shit." And they said, "No, well, we gotta extend it. We're just gonna
yeah, they don't
let the movie."
establish that they don't establish she's like a warrior or anything like that, or she trained or whatever. She just that's the thing. I can understand training with the super strength and all that stuff. That would make her a foe. But you're telling me even depowered, she can overpower strong ass aliens, big ass people. I don't know. I don't vibe with that. I don't understand that. You're not getting leeway. I'm there. It's not gonna happen. Even powered, even with the fucking even poisoned, she was like weak as fuck, and I was still just like, I don't know if Kryptonians in this universe are just weaker. I don't know.
Yeah, I I hated the. So how did Homeboy have kryptonite? Boy just
I don't know.
keeps it in the tuck.
I don't know, dude. How the I'm still wondering how Lex was able to get what's his face Metamorpho to fucking make it out of fucking nothing. What's your reference at that point?
Right. Where did you ever find kryptonite? How do you
Where
know
he
it
didn't.
exists?
This is what I was trying to tell you. The thing is, Krem immediately is like, "Oh, you're a Kryptonian. I know how to deal with you." And then he uses it, and he goes, "I've never used it before, but this is a nice reaction." And then like some shit like that, and it's just like one, they never explain that he figured that out. Two Kryptonians surviving and them understanding that shit doesn't make sense. Even Ruthie understood that, yeah, Krypton went up in smoke, and had to find out from Supergirl that she's one of them.
Unless in that universe, because they've kind of that was one thing that I could kind of defend it on. Hold on. Unless in that universe everybody knows that those people conquer planets. So like if they're off-world conquering planets and they're super powered, it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like
Man,
they
I
don't
don't
even
even
know.
know you putting too much thought, because I don't even think they haven't explained that. Two, it really feels like Superman was probably the only one to do that shit.
No, because think about it. They did talk about it again too, because they kind of said the whole thing where it's like, oh, they sent Kal-El out there. They want him to kind of go do his thing or whatever, but the dad was like, well, that's not what I want you to do. And the mom was like, well, just be good. And then that's what basically what the I'm assuming the takeaway was, is like, you could be crazy, you could be fucked up, you could think like, hey, I want to kill this person, but make sure it's for good reasons.
I don't know, man. I don't know. When I hear "be good," I don't even despite all that, I still don't even hear murder them. You know what I
I don't
mean?
hear murderer, but I'm saying like obviously you
You're like,
can't
be
change
good,
who she is, but just be as good as you can.
be good. Only shoot two people. Like, nah, man, no.
Be good. Make sure you don't let him
I'm a,
suffer. Stab him in the
I'm
heart.
only I'm only assuming they didn't even look like warriors or anything like that. None of these Kryptonians to me screamed out anything outside of fucking like they were just advanced. Everybody but Jor-El and what I'm assuming fucking Kara's dad were the only ones that seemed to know what the fuck was going on.
Well, yeah.
So I'm only assuming Clark was there to conquer and just preserve the bloodline. I don't think they were doing that shit like that. I don't think they're Viltrumites like that.
Oh, okay. You don't think they were doing it on the regular? You think that was kind of like just like, oh, you're our last hope to rebuild our population kind of thing, right? Like,
Yeah, I don't believe that. I don't think so.
okay. I mean, that's one thing about it. That's another plot hole, is that they didn't really elaborate, but they kind of showed that obviously Jor-El and his brother had friction, because they had different ways of looking how they should be going about things. Where Jor-El was looking into repopulating on a different planet, his brother was thinking about how to preserve their own planet.
Right. And then, well, he failed miserably at that. But yeah, man. I don't know. I could probably see their stories swapped in a different universe. Like Kara was sent, but she ended up getting lost in space or whatever. And then when she gets there, she meets Clark, who isn't this conqueror, and he tries to like get her out of that mindset and all that stuff. But no, she shows up, doesn't even be like, "Hey, did you start? Or were you waiting on me? Are we starting the conquering?" And like, I don't know. They don't even elaborate on that. Clark not knowing a lick of Kryptonian to me also rubs me the wrong way. That's just another direction thing I can't get behind.
Yeah, especially if you. Why wouldn't you want to know your people's language? But I mean, by the end of, he was still using a translator in the first Superman movie. So it's like if you're using a translator, that means that you didn't learn it, and then by the time he learned what it actually meant, well, he just loved his Earth parents more. So by the end of it, he didn't really care to want to look. But that was, like I said, that's after the fact, because I mean, obviously Millie Alcock came down from space way before, you know, way before all those events in Superman happened.
Exactly. You learn. And then if you decide, my parents are kind of batshit crazy. Maybe I don't want to learn anymore. You get behind that shit.
But you'll
That
still know,
sounds
like,
reasonable.
I mean, yeah, and then he would have uncovered the message himself. He would have been like, "What? Wait, I learned Krypton. This is what my parents are saying. What the fuck?" Or he could have
I don't
probably
know.
rode with it. I don't know, but that's, I mean, yeah, that's probably a good plot hole too, because that would mean that Superman, he would have known, and then they would have made it so. Why did Lex Luthor need to expose? He should have known that it was this, that, and the third. When, yeah, so they rather just keep him
A
clueless.
little right, and a little controversial, but I think the trafficking plot line was a little shoehorned.
Yeah,
It couldn't be enough that he killed their parents and stuff. There, Supergirl needed another motivation outside of crypto to be like, okay, I could save these women, and like, no faulting her for wanting to do that. I'm simply saying it's just shoehorned in. I don't think there's any other way to put it
like
outside of
somebody,
like halfway through.
put it in there for more tension.
Yeah, like halfway through, they were like, "Oh, there has to be a little bit more stakes to this. Let's put this trafficking ring in there, and then we'll move on." But it's shoehorned in. It feels like it doesn't really add or take away anything. It just feels like it's there. Acknowledge me, like you know what I
I
mean?
feel
Like
like it was shoehorned in for the sole purpose of being able to put that family in there where they poison her and shit like that to get their daughter back. I think that's the only reason. I feel like they were like, well, how did Supergirl get to this planet over here, or how is she gonna find Krem now or whatever? And they were like, oh, we need somebody to help, and they need to have a reason, and the reason why is because Krem is also taking women, and they took her daughter. Like, that's basically like how I felt the pitch basically went when they were writing that shit, and it was like, it was ridiculous because it just makes Supergirl look even worse, because where I was like, okay, I was alright with the messy ride in the beginning, where like, okay, she can be that person who, messes up and it's okay, but she actively was the reason why a whole family died. How the hell is Homeboy faster than Supergirl with superpowers, where he was able to apparently dodge and weave her? Does she not have X-ray? Dodge and weave her, and then get to the family. Regardless if she stopped Ruthie, she should have been able to turn around and, stop him from killing them. But she didn't. She just let them die. I was like, that's crazy. So yeah, maybe that plot line was kind of shoehorned in, and I'm assuming it was literally specifically for that reason. I don't know. I can't think of any other reason why to have them in there. And because it literally felt like at the end too, she was like, "Oh, they still have the girls in there." It was like, "Oh, duh, we forgot about them." And so she had to go get them at the end and have that god awful fucking out of a whole laser what the fuck scene. Like, she flew out big as hell. What the hell? That was crazy on the big screen. That was insane. That was insane.
yeah, they have not cracked flying down yet, dude.
Well, no.
Um,
Here's the thing. You need a director with the eye to do something like that. Unfortunately, Craig Giuseppe does not have that eye. He's just not a. He's never been an action guy. That's the thing, though, right? Like this is his first like action movie. Everything else he's basically done. I, Tanya, Lars and the Real Girl, Fright Night. I mean, there was a little bit of action in there, but it wasn't like hand to hand. There was nothing like crazy going on, right? The Finest Hours. Like he's not an action movie guy, so he would have not known how to do these action scenes, and you could very much tell that. I mean, if we're gonna kind of go down and get to the fight scenes already, I think they were all poorly done, edited horrifically. Don't even. I'm gonna put fight scenes with the cinematography because the camera work in this fucking movie sucked dick. The fucking scenery was crazy. I could not see anything. I was in the theater, bro. I could not see. There was nothing happening. The ending with the whole Mad Max thing, where like the bikes are going around them and shit, looked fake as shit. So it was everything was bad. The camera work, the way that they kind of filmed certain shots, like there was a lot of standard shots, but even when they tried to do something crazy with like Supergirl stuff, it felt like they attempted and they just did not know how to deliver it. So they did what they could. I swear to you, when I buy the movie or if I see it on like Netflix or something, I'm going to pause it. We're going to see wires on that girl's skirt or something. We're going to see her in the wires. Like we're going to see like it tucked up or something, because I swear when I was watching it in the theater, I believe I seen her on her rig. Like at least in Superman, we didn't see him. David Cornsweet, it didn't feel like he was on a rig or anything like that. I think the only one that felt like that was the initial one with like the face was all fucked up and shit like that, the trailer. But like every single shot that I basically seen, besides maybe like the bus scene, I would basically say the ending felt like she was on a rig.
Right. I mean, from the scene where she like poses to when she takes down that tank to basically her flying all over the place. Yeah, I mean, I would say for sure the way the camera was set up very much looked like they were centering it around her and whatever contraption she might have been on. I don't.
Keep going.
I have a problem with the action scenes. I mean, I do. I hate when they fucking do that shit where like, oh, the bad guys are here, look away, and then they're kicking ass in the background. I hate that shit.
Yeah,
I hate that shit so much. That's got to be like one of my biggest like film pet peeves. Like, why would I not want to see a superpowered individual kick some ass like that?
mm-hmm.
Why would you hide that from me? Like I said, Lobo and her teaming up didn't really do much for me. Yeah, no, I would say every action scene kind of was whack. And I mean, everyone like cherry on the fucking cake got to be that fuck ass needle drop at the end.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that one in a second, though. I honestly wasn't the worst one for me. I'm surprised nobody's talking about the one that was, which one was it? It was the Cantina one,
Right.
oh, the lasers and stuff like that. That one was pretty bad. To be honest, I didn't feel like the last one was the one that should have gotten the most hate. I feel like there was one in the middle. I want to say it was the bar one, but that one deserved probably like the worst needle drop, because that one was kind of like annoying to have to hear. I forgot which one it was, to be honest, because it was kind of like the bus fight scene. I could have probably gotten behind, but fucking teleporting everywhere, stumbling around, all that shit, ridiculous. I actually enjoyed that. I liked it. I like the only fight scene that I really enjoyed was that scene. I liked the jumping around. I liked the whole, after she got like pushed into space plot hole. How the fuck did she survive that? The whole frozen thing? I don't understand. It like they could just freeze, and then if they eventually find a sun, they're good. Is that like just how that works? I don't know. But
just so they can recreate that fuck ass Guardian scene again.
Okay. Yeah. But I do think that I did like it. I like the whole like her jumping around and climbing around the bus and everything to like kick their ass and shit. Again, I thought it was really dumb where it was like, oh, she got to run away. Like, how close do you got to get to the sun for you to be like powered up too. That's one thing that they kind of don't know is like, and it's exactly what you were saying. That's probably like one of the bigger plot holes is this Kryptonian power scaling in this fucking universe. It doesn't make any sense. Like, Krem was not Kryptonian. Am I right?
No.
How the fuck was she able to slam the shit out of him over and over and over again? Like if Cornsweat was fighting, you know, the nanotech chick in the first movie or something like that, or the big dude that, or you know, himself and shit like that. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
They said he had the strength of like 10,000 men, some shit like that. So I mean, yes, he was bouncing around like a goddamn basketball, and I think that's gonna be like the signature thing every time we see these movies. They're gonna do something like that. But at the same time, yeah, you're right. How the fuck did he survive that? How? I don't understand.
I would have thought that would have been like death for him. That's like, you know
Right.
what I mean? Like, because he seemed like a man. I mean, if you can get stabbed and that's it.
Apparently so, dude. Apparently so. I mean, like I said, I don't think there's like anything out there. I mean, I could continue about that fucking the green sun and how the power scaling here still doesn't work because it takes her getting the atmosphere for the sun to hit, but then she gets in the atmosphere of a green sun, which I've never heard of ever, getting depowered, feeling like kryptonite, and then she gets introduced into real kryptonite. So it doesn't not the effects in both of those things don't match up because she was not immediately fucking dying.
Right. And that one was in her bloodstream. You would have thought it would have been worse. How was she just able to
Right.
clear it up like that? Just because she went up to the
Right.
sun?
Mm-hmm. That's got to be like the only accurate part about all that stuff, where like you just go in the sun and you like it clears out or whatever. But there's moments before that in her bloodstream where it's like supposed to be actively killing her, but it doesn't really feel like that. But then moments before, we have a whole scene where she's depowered and weak and on the brink of death. She doesn't even feel the sun rays either. She kind of just feels the warmth and then gets her powers back. She doesn't stick her hand in the sun and nothing like that. She just fucking feels
Gets up.
it. That makes no
Mhm.
sense. Yeah.
I don't know. Weird. 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 But yeah, Josh. So, I mean, there is a controversial ending, which I think is kind of crazy. We're probably going to talk about that next, but let's go ahead and give this review our numbers because we need to give them that first, and then we'll go ahead and talk about the little things at the back end and obviously the big decision that they did and, you know, a little bit of the backlash that was given towards the ending because I do think, you know, and if I want to get started first, right? I kind of want to go first, right? I want to say my piece and say in the beginning the movie was decent. It was okay. I could get past certain things where it was like, okay, well, how'd she get away? Blah blah blah. Like for me, the movie could have ended in the beginning, and I would have been like, okay, that's rightfully so, right? It's like a video game when you fuck up and it just goes, and then you gotta start all over. No, this movie just says, no, we're gonna bypass that. We're gonna just go ahead and just get to the main route. I do believe there were certain parts of this movie that were decent to fun. I like Seth Rogen as a little alien. I thought that was kind of funny for me. You know, it was like, oh, can you move us closer to the sun? And he was like, yeah, I would if I had engines or balls. It's like, okay, you know what I mean? There was a lot of plot holes within this movie. Music from Earth being everywhere, her hating Earth but taking remnants, like basically from Earth everywhere she goes, down to the newspaper with corn sweat on there. You know what I mean? So it's like, even though the dog pees on it, she still has it actively. For what? Well, how's she getting today's issue too? That's another question I need to know. All in all, I do think the ending is what kind of divides a lot of people because you can't be satisfied with it. Like I said, this movie does a lot is it gives you something and it takes it away. All right? It gives you a brutal in for Krem, but then they take it away by giving it an easy out for Ruth, right? Same thing with Supergirl. They give you that big thing where it's like she's disgusting, but then they give you that out that, you know, she's a girl and she has girl power, and so she's able to basically overcome certain things like that. you can't have your cake and eat it too. And I do think that that's what they basically did at the ending as well, where they took it away from Ruthie, but then gave it to somebody else, and you can't really decide whether or not you agree or you disagree. But we are going to talk about that next. My rating for this movie, though, after giving it all that speech, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, 5 being in the middle, I do give this movie a solid 5. I do appreciate it more than David Cornsweet's Superman. It is way better than Superman 2025. Do I like David Cornsweet in there? Yes. Was this movie perfect? No. But I don't like James Gunn's directing from 2025. I don't like the whole bubble thing or whatever. At least this movie looks like a film, in my opinion. There's certain things that I wish I could change, and I wish I could give this a better score. But, I think a 5 is fair. I think a 5 is pretty fair. CGI was pretty dog shit in this movie, too. I kind of hated it. What about you? What'd you think?
Man, I thought even with the problems of this movie, I don't hate it. I would say if I had any con or positives to give it, it has to be Millie Alcock, and it has to be the space scenes. I think those probably were the most stunning things. Like when she goes up into the sky and screams into space, I think that was pretty good.
Ripped off
When
from
she's playing
Furiosa.
fetch, right, and then when she's playing with Crypto, as much as I don't like that dog, I like that whole space scene. I think that's nice.
Mm-hmm. That was the
Again, I
beginning.
like the scenes. I like the scenes with the laser where she's like shooting her heat vision at the ship and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. I think if this movie was more space centric, I would have enjoyed it. But it's not. It feels a lot. It does feel like it's ripped out from a bunch of other stuff, and it's not even like good space stuff. This is average space stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, they took it from good space stuff and made it average. Like they did
Average.
average stuff. So maybe there wasn't a budget.
And I think that's kind of where I'm at. I think this is an average movie. It kind of felt like I was watching like another DCEU movie. Like if you were to tell me, hey, this Supergirl movie came out in 2018, I would be like, I believe you, because that's what that feels like. It feels like it feels like Black Adam. It feels like Shazam. It doesn't feel like
Wonder Woman.
the last 4 movies. It doesn't feel like the last 4 movies. It feels like when they were still trying to put in an effort. So it feels like Aquaman. It feels like, well, I enjoy Aquaman a little bit better, but it feels like Black Adam. It feels like the first Shazam movie. Like it feels like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily hate those movies. Are they good movies? No, but I don't like hate them.
They're decent.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I think I'm at like a 5 out of 10.
Okay. I think we both rate this movie a little bit better than Superman 2025. So in a way,
Superman 2025 got such a low number for me, bro. I hated everything about that shit.
yeah. But that's what I'm saying is like, in a way, it was kind of a step forward because James Gunn wasn't there. But what is it? It's 5 steps forward and then 10 steps back kind of thing. It's unfortunate because we're going to have to talk about that controversial ending where the DCEU kicked off with a controversial ending as well, but actually in its first movie. And that's when Man of Steel himself, Henry Cavill, decided to snap Zod's neck. He snapped his neck, and a lot of people went crazy about it. Everybody lost their minds. They didn't know what to do. But then here we are in 2026. Supergirl has now done something controversial. There's a lot of things you can't do with this one that is different than what happened with the DCEU because this one was based on a book. And I got to tell you, that's where this death sentence, I feel, basically comes from. Is because there is a source material that you pull from, and it's not hard for you to just adapt the motherfucker, right? But apparently Anna Noriega had that issue herself. Because I did have to do a little bit of research to even know where she was kind of hiccuping on this thing. Apparently, in the comic book, Krem does not die. He is put into the Phantom Zone for 300 years after Supergirl basically talked Ruthie out of doing her whole revenge thing. They put him in the Phantom Zone. He comes out, begs for forgiveness from Ruth. Ruth says, I don't forgive you. Basically, somewhere along those lines, I don't forgive you, but I'm not going to kill you or anything. They bonk him on the head, and they walk away. He's not dead. He's not dead in the comics. So why did they choose to kill him here? Well, that's Anna Noriega's thing. All right, so it says here, the final battle sees an emotional breakthrough from Kara and Ruth, but also a very final moment for Krem. It also leads us to what we're going to see for Supergirl when she joins Superman in Man of Tomorrow. How did you go about crafting the ending? This interviewer basically asked Anna Noriega, and this is what she had to say. The ending between Krem and Kara was always in it from the pitch, truly from the very beginning, because the comic ends with Ruth killing him. But in the far, far future, we knew we weren't going to be able to do that kind of time jump. I find it's quite a dark ending of the comic. He essentially has changed, and she kills him anyway because she still just has this anger. And you understand there's this element of deserve, right? So we wanted to craft a villain who would deserve this, but also wanted Kara to really care about preserving Ruth's innocence and to feel like she could take on killing him, that she could be the one to bring justice to this man and do it without burdening this child. It's different for Supergirl, and I think it feels different for audiences. So a fundamental, in my opinion, because I did some research, like I said, and I think a lot of people agree with this whole notion that he did not die. I also believe Tom King came out and said that Krem did not die. It was kind of confirmed by Tom King himself, and he's the one who wrote the damn thing. So there's no real like running away from this thing and being like, oh, this person. Anna Noriega fundamentally misinterpreted the scripture she was supposed to adapt. Okay, and she doubled down on it in this thing because nobody told her to say this. She literally said, "And the Ruth killing him." She goes down and says that she finds it to be quite a dark ending for the comic. That she's just in all this anger, that the villain deserves it. So I mean, you think that fundamentally he died, but everybody tells you he did not. So fundamentally, this script was fucked from the jump because they did not know what the outcome was supposed to be, or what the adaptation was supposed to basically be by the end of it. But I don't know. Do you agree with this sentiment of possibly it's the comic death sentence with this ending, or is it obviously just a character flaw within the movie that was made?
I think this was a huge fucking misstep. I mean, she obviously didn't understand what the fuck she was reading, but two, the whole movie pitches that you don't have to be this person. Like Kara's talking like she caught a body before. We've never seen that. We've never seen that happen.
Right.
This is essentially her first body. And so what the fuck do you know about it scarring you and all that stuff? You know what I mean?
Right.
Whatever. You're pushing that message. The whole movie.
When I took from that was the whole seeing Krypton explode and seeing your parents and everybody die and shit like that. Like that's what but like I get what you mean, where like she's not coming at it from a point of like I lost people and so I'm hurt and I understand hurt and shit like that. She's coming at it like, no, you don't want this, dog. You don't want this kind of life. You don't want to be doing this kind of shit. Yeah.
Like she's the Punisher.
Yeah.
And like those are two different things. You couldn't help your planet. That's that kind of what is it? Survivor's guilt is got to be a little different than being like, nah, you don't want to murder people. It stains you, type shit. Like when I hear Black Widow say something like that, I can understand that. You know, when she's like, I got blood on my ledger. Like that sounds like a killer.
Right.
This is she's talking like she's caught a body before and it stained her, whatever, and it's not her fault. But so the fact that she's peddling this message, I'm riding along with it. I can get behind that. You know, she's trying to if she's having flashbacks of be good, and then you know she's wearing Superman's crest, which we know means hope and all that stuff. One, she shouldn't be wearing that shit. Two, the movie decides to change that up immediately when she kills him.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't help but feel like you're peddling a different message at that point.
Yeah, there is some inconsistencies because in the beginning it felt more like, oh, you don't want to go on a revenge trip and everything. You want to be better than that. It's like, okay, cool. Maybe, the older person just understands, revenge is not the way to go. So I could get behind that. But then you go down the road and then it's like she's down for this revenge stuff because her dog went down. But she's not down for Ruth to get down with the revenge stuff because she's so young. So like the whole movie to me is basically saying like she's down for the business, but she's just not down for Ruth to be down for that business. And so, I mean, for the movie itself, I do feel as though they kind of set up this whole arc where it was like she's going to do what she needs to do for the greater good. And I think that's where it kind of differentiates from the comic. And I do think that that's where, that whole, oh, Superman doesn't kill people. Well, Supergirl apparently should not also kill people.
That's kind of where my thought process was going. If she would have, okay, because she stabs him twice, one for Crypto and then one for Ruthie, I would have understood it, and I would have been fine if she got a little lick back personally for Crypto. The little nick, I would have been like, all right, cool, that's understandable. She's mad about her dog, but for again to peddle all that stuff and then stab him has got to be different. And if you're not mad about that, I want to paint you a picture of what happens in Man of Steel.
But no, yeah,
Because
but I will say I am mad about the 2 stabbings. Like for the character, I understand that she was going to want to have to kill him because he's a bad guy and everything like that. I kind of felt like it was going to happen. What I don't like is that you peddle that whole don't fucking do it message, don't do revenge message. Like I would have totally been with her if she was like trying to take that burden away from her, but also trying to put him down mercifully to basically, stop him from ever hurting anybody again. Like I could be like, okay, she could put that shit to the side and that's why she's the messy one or whatever, because she needs to do what needs to get done at any means necessary where Clark won't do shit like that, right? I could have understood that. But she stabbed him twice. And so that's where I was like, oh, now she's kind of having fun with it. That's not a hero to me. Dog, you basically a villain. Like you just like for your dog, it should have just been one stab to to the brain, to the neck, throw him into space. You know what I mean? Either which way, I think it's kind of weird when superheroes kind of like go that far willingly for no reason. Because at least
when they get their lick back,
Superman, with Henry Cavill Superman in the DCU, Zod was actively gonna kill a family. He had no choice. It was the back was against the wall. They were equals. One of them had to die. But here in the DCU, dude was knocked down. He could have been handcuffed, if anything. I don't know his power scaling because he did tank Supergirl's flips and all this shit. But I assume he wouldn't have lived through that. It's not like he could fly. He had to find a spaceship to get the fuck out of there. So it's like he's significantly weaker. That's like Superman picking on just a normal. That's like Superman beating on Lex Luthor. There's no point in doing something like that. So it's like I feel like she's a villain. I feel just a little bit.
And I think that's just I don't know because I can't help but feel like it's different. Obviously, murdering is different. Like I said, if it was that stab to the stomach, sure, he could survive. He could live off that. But twice, you're right. That's he's unarmed. He's beaten. You basically executed that man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's supervillain shit.
I never see superheroes doing executions. Like the Punisher does that, but she's not the Punisher. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. And this is essentially again her first body. When Henry Cavill had to do it, like you said, people were at stake. Yeah, sure, Krem could come back or whatever and do it again, but like you got beat so fucking bad. Would you want to do this again?
Right.
No, he's not a super powered individual. He could be an average motherfucker. That ending could have been the same. I'm not saying fast forward to 3 months later or whatever, but saying a sequel, they pass by him and he's like a farmer now. You know what I mean? Some shit like that.
Why couldn't they
like
do the
I don't
thing
know
where she puts him in the Phantom Zone like in the comic?
There's no phantom. I don't know. There's no Phantom Zone. I can't. I can't be one of those people that be like that because when they say that shit about Man of Steel, I gotta play it fair. The Phantom Zone, I think, just doesn't exist right now.
Yeah, there's no Phantom Zone in this one, unfortunately.
There's no Phantom Zone in the DCEU either, and people still try to be like, hey, go to taking Zod there, and it's just like, shut up. But anyway,
But Zod was in the Phantom Zone.
he was, and then what? They basically blow up their only way to trap them there. When Zod shows up at the end, it was completely accidental. He managed to outlive his people because they got sucked up.
Pause. Yeah.
I just think it's crazy. I think you paint the
I-
whole movie as, oh, don't kill, don't kill, don't kill, don't kill, and then at the end, she
She not
stabs him
only
twice
kills him, but she
and
executes
executes that man.
the fuck out of him. Yeah, fucking stabs
Yeah,
him twice.
and not even to like I said, I don't even think saving Ruth would have been, saving her from that innocence would have been anything too drastic. I don't know. I don't know. I can't get behind this ending. I can barely get behind her as a character. And then now you're telling me, okay, so she gets drunk. She likes to have fun. She gets on this very serious mission where she executes a guy at the end of it. Goes up to Clark and then is like, "I'm ready to join your team now." Like, no, dude, no. I'm sorry, no.
Well, no, because I'm assuming that was after her drinking with Ruth and everything, and then she goes back to Earth.
Oh, she goes back to have party. That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, I just executed a man. Let's
Fine, fuck it, let's go drink.
do. Like, what the fuck?
Crazy. Yes, so that was one of the controversial endings right there. You did name another one, and one of those controversial endings, well, not just before we go to the next one, really quick, we do have Greg Giuseppe basically stepping in to defend what happens in this movie as well, where Anna Noriega basically came out and made her death sentence and basically said, "Hey, I fundamentally did not understand this movie." It seems like Craig Gillespie kind of didn't either. I'm not too sure. But one thing is kind of weird is Lobo was supposed to be more involved in the final act. Jason Momoa did say that there was two kinds of endings. A lot of people were kind of taking that as like, oh, there's a second ending where Krem would have actually lived instead of actually died. And no, the director actually comes out to defend that and says, I haven't seen the movie yet. We shot two versions, or sorry, that was Momoa's reply. He did say that I haven't seen the movie yet. We shot two versions. When the Men's Journal reporter said they didn't have the issue with Kara's decisions, Momoa added, "I love that for you." And that basically, that's the statement that basically started everything. And so when it ran down to Giuseppe, obviously he has to go and start saving everything, or at least trying to do what he can to clean up whatever's going on right now. He did say what Momoa probably meant. Giuseppe said there were two versions of how much Lobo helped, not necessarily with that whole but the whole fight sequence we did. It was the balance of how much needs to be the two of them. It's ultimately Supergirl's story, but the actual ending never changed, which is amazing. That's something co-chairman and CEO James Gunn was stoic about all the way through, to the point where sometimes conversations of, do we shoot a backup to that in case we have test screenings and it goes south? James was always like, nope, this is it. I love that. It kind of informed the whole film for me, he says. Knowing we'd go that far at the end of the film gives permission elsewhere to do things. He was asked as well if the Man of Steel moment played into their process at all with the whole killing the villain at the end of the movie, and he did say it actually didn't. It just felt like absolutely the right thing. It made sense to me as a character that she would do that. Everything we've seen her do through the film and the way she processes everything and the way she's different from Superman, I couldn't really see another conclusion. I think James felt the same way. So
Fire the whole team. Fire the whole team.
I'm gonna tell you again what Giuseppe said James Gunn said when he would ask, do we need safety nets? As in, a safety net for a test screening in case it goes south. Just in case things don't work out. And this is what he said. James Gunn was always like, nope, this is it. I love that. It kind of informed me for the whole film, says Giuseppe. Oh my God.
Fire James Gunn, fire Gillespie, and fire fucking Anna. I understand that when she said that it kind of stayed the same throughout the whole process, I can get behind that. That's fine. But James Gunn, the hailer of the fucking that people like to suck his dick and be like he knows comics and this and that, he was okay with this? No. I don't want to hear shit about no fans, nothing
I didn't
like
even
that.
think about that shit. Everybody was saying that he loves comic books. Yeah, the fucking guy who couldn't even get Superman's middle name.
Yeah, man, I don't know, bro. Holy shit.
Y'all remember that clip? We remember that clip, right? What's Clark Kent's middle name? What is it? What the fuck? No.
I'm so lost. For words. This
James
whole
Gunn
team missed the
greenlit
assignment.
Anna Noriega's script. He greenlit Anna Noriega's script. He said this was perfect because she even said that this was the way the movie was supposed to go. So he read the script and said Krem died. James Gunn also has a fundamental misunderstanding of comic books as well, because he took the script that he got, said that Krem dies, and actually rode with that all the way to the bank.
Yeah, no. Fire this whole team. I'm sorry, no. James Gunn doesn't get it. Anna doesn't get it. Gillespie doesn't get it. This whole team didn't understand shit that was happening here. I would have enjoyed it a little bit more if she was like, I'm not gonna kill you. Ruthie's not gonna kill you. You're Lobo's problem. And then they ride off into the sunset because his head is a bigger paycheck. Whatever. I can get behind that. That's fine. That makes total fucking sense. If she's not gonna enable it, but she's not gonna disagree with it either. Some people, it's their jazz. Let Lobo take care of it. If that was their scapegoat, they had it there, and they just didn't fucking use them. I'm sorry. No, I gotta reevaluate it. I think this whole team shot this fucking movie down, 2 shots in the sky for the same 2 stabs that they fucking did this movie.
All right.
This movie's a 4.
I gotta put on my thinking cap really quick. I have 4.
I'm reevaluating.
Wow.
Yeah, this movie's a 4 out of 10. There's no way.
Sorry, it was already locked in. You can't reevaluate.
I'm doing it now. It's too late.
I need 20 pounds from you. UK dollars.
UK, like Pebbles. You want shillings, my man?
I want your golden nuggets, please. So I need to put my thinking cap on, because hearing this kind of makes me a little baffled, okay? Because James Gunn read this script, okay? Hear me out. The Authority was next. James Gunn read this script and said, oh my God, I can't believe it. It's so great. Let's greenlight it right now. So they greenlight it. Obviously, the script said what it said. They said they haven't changed it since the beginning. Krem dies. That's the way he wanted it to go. This was supposedly his favorite comic. That's why they were doing this one. This was like the best comic in the world for him. Like, he loved this one. I'm thinking, okay, and I'm just going off of action. I could be wrong. Obviously, the Authority was too much of a risk. I think that it was just something that they just could not feasibly do. I'm talking about Warner Brothers at the time. And so I think they told him to take that off the table. He was basically stuck with an open slate and did not have anybody else to fill it up. And got this bullshit ass script from Anna Noriega and said, this is going to save my ass. Did it save your ass, James Gunn? Did it save your ass?
Did it save you $120 million?
Oh,
no.
Did it save your ass? That's what it looks like to me. That's the only possible explanation. And because you can't say that you love this comic, you did not bring half of the stuff. Like, I looked up the comic. I did, because I was kind of curious and I wanted to see what it looked like. Everybody knows what the comic cover looks like. Good thing he didn't call it Woman of Tomorrow. Let's see, everybody knows that one. Comic. But like, this is the kind of artwork we see in there, you know, like colorful shit. We see all kinds of crazy stuff in there, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Like, they couldn't make this kind of budget regardless. So it just seems weird that this was kind of brought to them and they were just like, yeah, we're going to do something like this. When, like, all this comic stuff that I see out of it is all Cosmo stuff. Like, this is all cosmic. Like, this is sci-fi. But we're doing scenes on Earth. So, I mean, this comic looks like a big shoes to fill already. And the fact that they were just like, hey, we're going to give you guys this packed up version is crazy. They don't respect you as a comic book reader.
Follow the whole team. Fire the whole team. Your people don't. The people that you guys were praising, I need you to understand this. They don't care. They don't care. You will never have heart in anything that they make ever again. And I'm not talking James. I'm not just talking like as a studio, because I'm sure we'll get gold nuggets here and there. Even Marvel shits out a gold one every once in a while. They laugh at you. They're laughing at you. They expect you to eat garbage like this up. They expect you to eat Superman up. I'm telling you, if you had a problem with Man of Steel's killing, you should have a problem with this ending. And if you don't, you're spineless. If you don't have a problem with the ending needle drop, if you have a problem with the ending needle drop, you also need to have one for Superman's terrible needle drop. I think that Mr. Terrific needle drop scene, terrible. I fucking hated that shit. You're spineless. If you aren't holding people up to these standards, you're spineless. I'm sorry. They don't care. They don't care about you, and they don't care about Superman. They don't care about you, and they don't care about Superman.
Is that not James Gunn's standard, though?
Where he doesn't care about people?
Well, I mean, what he's been putting with Superman 2025. Obviously, we saw with Creature Commandos and all that stuff. Like, that's the standard that we're getting, right? We're like, you know, if you look at the DCEU, let's say Zack Snyder, the Snyderverse, there was a certain tone that he had, some kind of like grand scheme and all that stuff, and you know there was weight behind it. It was at that level. DCU after like the whole Snyderverse thing, probably like around Justice League, it started losing that bite. But as you said, they were still trying in a way, so they were still trying to keep that bar kind of high. With this DCU, there's no bar. There's no bar trying to be lifted here. There's no, you know, trying to move the needle anywhere. It seems to me as that like everything that this universe does has no significance. There's no weight behind it. There's nothing there. Even fucking Batman and Robin, the worst one with George Clooney, had some kind of like, you know, the plot was bad, but they were trying to give you something out of it. You know what I mean? This one, it just felt like I said, it feels more like they just put it together to kind of fill up the authority slot. But I mean, that's just me. But like you said, there is another big issue with this ending, and that's the final needle drop. If that was kind of like the lube that basically started the slip and slide, holy shit, right? Because Anna Noriega did say that there was about 45 songs, right? And Craig Giuseppe decided to kind of confirm that in an interview, saying that that last note right there, they went through 45 songs. There were a lot of options. He said that last one was probably the biggest discussion, and it was down to the very last week. I gotta give James Gunn credit for that one. He added that a remix of a classic was also a runner-up for the soundtrack scene, but didn't say what it was. And basically, he's basically saying James Gunn was the person who picked that out. Out of 45 options, this was the last one. So, like I said, not the worst one for me, so I'm not really upset. But, I mean, what do you think about Craig Giuseppe throwing James Gunn under the bus again?
It's always gonna be him, man. He's the guy I answer to. He wanted this. I mean, the middle isn't
your
a
guys'
bad
boss?
song.
Like, shouldn't you like? don't people ain't you supposed to take a bullet for your boss? Isn't there supposed to be like some kind
Not
of like, oh shit, that was my bad, I want more work or something like that? Because to me, that kind of shows that James Gunn is kind of a pushover, right? Like your own people are telling on you instead of just eating up the fucking bad publicity or whatever
nah,
and moving
man.
on to
Not
the
when
next project.
not
The
when
next
Hollywood
project
is
he's giving them.
right.
It's
But
crazy.
like that's because he has no one else in house. But that's besides the point.
Oh, he's out of
He's
options, so he has to
he's
kind
just
of suck it up.
yeah. He's like, I'm working with sharks here, please. But yeah, no. I think when you work in Hollywood like that, like a lot of it is very much like, well, they said, like like the producers, the creators, they wanted that shit. I had nothing to do with that. Wink, wink.
Hmm.
I mean, the middle isn't a bad song. I just think the cover they chose and just like slow it down and make that whole fight scene slow,
As if it was supposed to be
well, it didn't
it,
work.
it it being like a rip-off take of like what James Gunn did in Superman and what he did in the hallway scene in Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like it being a rip-off scene and not done as well, and then also feeling very Mad Maxy is kind of like, damn, what the fuck happened here? You know what I'm saying? It's like he tried to copy Guardians of the Galaxy, he tried to copy Mad Max, and James Gunn was like, yeah.
Fire the whole team. Start from scratch. I'm not saying James Gunn should direct everything, but holy fuck, at least call in real hitters because this is not working. The fact that no one wants to work with him and you're getting people that only do short films and rom coms and all that stuff, like, I'm sorry, no, no.
Yeah.
If this was a rom com Supergirl movie, I mean, I can understand that, but you're adapting what is arguably one of the her better stories of the last like decade. No. Yeah, you need heavy hitters for that shit. You need someone that knows space, someone that knows sci-fi. But no. No, no, no. You fucking this whole team sucks. I can't even say I'm looking forward to like Man of Tomorrow just because that's James Gunn stuff. I can't say I'm looking forward to Lanterns because that shit looks mad boring. I can't even say I'm looking forward to Clayface for like the horror aspect just because it feels like Joker.
Mm-hmm.
So like
You
I
might get
mean
your Batman.
everything is doom and gloom right now.
You might get your Batman and Clayface.
Man, fuck no. I'm trying to be nice,
Okay.
but no, no.
Well, I mean, can we agree that the final needle drop wasn't so bad? I mean,
It was ass. I know.
oh,
No, no,
okay.
no, no,
All right.
no.
I
That
didn't.
shit was bad.
It wasn't so bad for me. The visuals were atrocious. Maybe, I think that's what like I felt like I was attributing at first because you need good music to kind of complement what's on the screen, and when you have neither, it's just kind of assaulting you. I like music, so I could vibe with almost anything. So I was kind of vibing with it, and then I was just like, wow, what I'm like, my ears are okay, but the eye sockets are being assaulted currently. You know what I'm saying?
It's all bad. It's all bad.
It's all bad. But let us know what you guys think, though. DCU is in trouble. Josh, we're going to be talking about this more in our next episode, but we got to wrap it up here because this is all that basically has to do with Supergirl, the box office, everything that's basically happening. Supergirl is in trouble. And if you're a real DC fan and you haven't seen Supergirl yet, shame on you. Shame on you. Because we DC fans over here, we watch everything. Everything. We have to. We have to. It needs to be done. But let us know what you guys think. Is James Gunn sticking around? Did the goalpost move for you guys as well? Will Man of Tomorrow be the new this is the end James Gunn? Or is it Supergirl? Do you feel like he let you guys down? Have you lost faith in James Gunn? Has the gun jammed, as they say? Let us know what you guys think. Check out Supergirl. It is in theaters right now. Better hurry up before it gets into streaming because that's probably where they're going to recoup a lot of their money ASAP. They're going to be pulling a COVID movie in the 2026 era. It's crazy. It's crazy. I haven't seen it in a long time. But let us know what you guys think. Any movies you guys want us to review, TV shows. You want to hear your voice on one of these episodes, Josh? Let them know where they could do all that.
Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and FilmBros Podcast. Post on episodes there. We can hit us up there for any news and movies you want us to cover. But probably link in the stuff I just gave you. It's like a Patreon. You subscribe. You have the show grow. We really appreciate it. Listen to us anywhere you get your podcast at FilmBros Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, Music, Apple Podcasts. Again, wherever you get your podcasts. Be part of the conversation. Twitch at FilmBros Podcast. And when it's all said and done, subscribe to our YouTube at FilmBros Podcast.
And with that being said, we'll talk to you guys on the next one.
Talk to you guys later.